and the light and I start to communicate about all of these events in all of my life. And I could see them all, and nothing was confusing. I understood everything. And when I would focus on any one particular screen, I would relive it.
Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you've been told about life and death is not just incomplete, but fundamentally wrong. The air you breathe, the ground beneath your feet, even your sense of self, might all be part of an elaborate illusion, not metaphorically, but in a way that's grounded in scientific theory. This is what physicist Hugh Everett proposed with his groundbreaking many-worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, a theory that redefined our understanding of reality itself. Everett's work suggests that our universe isn't singular, but one of an infinite number of realities. Every decision, every quantum event creates a branching timeline where alternate versions of ourselves continue to exist. This isn't science fiction, it's an implication of the mathematics behind quantum mechanics. If true, it forces us to question the nature of life and death. What if death, as we understand it, is merely a transition, not an end? What if our consciousness continues to exist, just not in the branch we currently perceive? For centuries, humanity has speculated about the nature of existence, often blending science and spirituality in the search for answers. From the Taoist belief in the cyclical nature of life to the Buddhist concept of samsara, cultures across the world have hinted at the interconnectedness of all things. Everett's theory adds a scientific lens to these ancient ideas, showing us that the boundaries we perceive between life and death, self and other here and there, are more fluid than we imagined. Quantum mechanics tells us that at the smallest scales, reality is probabilistic, not deterministic. Particles don't have fixed positions or states until they are observed. This phenomenon, known as wave function collapse, is at the heart of Everett's theory. He argued that instead of collapsing into one reality, the universe splits into multiple realities where all possibilities are realized. In one world, you chose to go left, in another, you went right. If this applies to everyday decisions, why not to death itself? Could it be that when we die in one reality, our consciousness continues in another? This concept aligns eerily with ancient spiritual teachings. The Upanishads, for example, speak of Maya, the illusion that veils the ultimate truth. They suggest that the world we experience is a projection, not the essence of existence. Everett's theory can be seen as a modern interpretation of this idea, providing a framework where life and death are not opposites but intertwined states within an infinite multiverse. But what does it mean if death is not an ending? It reframes our understanding of purpose. If consciousness persists beyond this life, then the fear of finality diminishes. The attachments we form, our identities, possessions, ambitions, become less about survival and more about the experiences we accumulate. Like the caterpillar transforming into a butterfly, what we perceive as an ending might simply be a transition to something greater. Near-death experiences, NDEs, provide an intriguing lens through which to view this idea. Reports of tunnels of light, encounters with loved ones, and profound feelings of peace are strikingly consistent across cultures and belief systems. While skeptics attribute these experiences to brain activity, Everett's theory offers a compelling alternative. What if these are glimpses into parallel realities, where the boundaries between life and death blur? This perspective doesn't just challenge our fears, it liberates us. If death is a shift, not an end, then life itself becomes richer and more meaningful. Each moment, each choice ripples across the multiverse, contributing to an intricate tapestry of existence. As Everett's work suggests, the act of observation shapes reality. By choosing to see life as a continuum, not a finite journey, we free ourselves from the illusions that bind us. In the end, Everett's many worlds. Interpretation isn't just a scientific theory, it's a call to awaken. It invites us to see beyond the surface of what we call reality, to question the narratives we've inherited, and to embrace the profound interconnectedness of existence. Death, then, is not the final chapter, but a doorway to infinite possibilities. With this knowledge, the question becomes, how will you choose to live, knowing that your actions echo across endless worlds? The choice is yours, and its impact is eternal. In the classical sense, death is the end of consciousness, the cessation of our existence in this world. But MWI suggests there is no singular, definitive world where this ending takes place. Instead, as the universe constantly branches into countless parallel versions, every decision, event, and quantum fluctuation spawns new worlds where alternative outcomes unfold. Now consider what this means for death. If every possible outcome of every event is realized in some branch of the multiverse, then the version of you that dies in one reality is not the only you. In countless other branches, you continue to exist, perhaps in health, perhaps in entirely different circumstances. Consciousness, then, doesn't end. It shifts, seamlessly continuing in branches where you remain alive. From this perspective, the you reading this now is just one thread in a vast interconnected web of versions of yourself. The versions of you that have died are still part of the multiverse, their consciousness branching elsewhere. This raises a provocative question. If some versions of us are dead and others are alive, are we in some sense both dead and alive at the same time? The implications of this are profound. If we're already dead in the conventional sense, then what are we afraid of losing? If the world is an illusion, then what's stopping us from looking beyond it? These questions might feel overwhelming, but they are also invitations. Invitations to step outside the fear and embrace the mystery of existence. Because in the end, the scientist wasn't trying to prove that life is meaningless. He was showing us that it's far more meaningful than we ever imagined. And so the question remains, if we are already dead, then what does it mean to truly live? That answer perhaps lies not in the mind but in the heart, the one place where all illusions fade and the truth becomes clear. When Everett first introduced his findings, many dismissed him as a madman. The idea that we are already dead wasn't just unsettling, it was outright terrifying. Yet as more people examined his work, something extraordinary happened. His claims, once met with ridicule, began to resonate. Why? Because deep down in the quiet moments we rarely speak of, many of us have felt it. A nagging sense that life as we know it is incomplete, that the world we inhabit is not the full story. But what if this incompleteness isn't a flaw? What if it's the very point of our existence? To explore this, let's dive deeper into what the scientist called the evidence of absence. It's not just about what we see, but what we don't see. Take time itself, something we often treat as fixed and unyielding. Yet modern physics has shown that time is anything but stable. Einstein's theory of relativity revealed that time bends, stretches, and even halts under the right conditions. If time isn't absolute, then our experience of it, our aging, our so-called mortality, might also be a construct, like the set of a play, a stage built for a purpose, but not the final act. This concept aligns with an ancient Buddhist teaching about the nature of existence. The Buddha taught that clinging to impermanence is the root of suffering. Our lives, he said, are like a river, constantly flowing, ever-changing, and impossible to grasp. If we try to hold on to the water, we lose it. But if we let it flow, we become part of it. The scientist's work echoed this wisdom, suggesting that our clinging to life as we understand it blinds us to a deeper truth. The river doesn't end. To understand his perspective, he asked us to look at dreams. When you dream, everything feels real. You feel the wind on your skin, the weight of your body, the emotions that surge through you. But when you wake, the dream vanishes and you realize it wasn't real in the way you thought it was. Could life itself be a kind of waking dream? The scientist believed so. He argued that just as we wake from sleep, we will one day wake from life. And when we do, we'll find ourselves in a reality that feels more vivid, more tangible than anything we've ever known. This brings us to one of his most provocative claims, that death is not an event, but a state. From the moment we are born, we are already in the process of dying, not in the morbid sense, but in the sense that we are gradually shedding the illusion of separateness. The boundaries we think define us, our bodies, our egos, even time itself, are like the walls of a cocoon, and just as the caterpillar must dissolve to become the butterfly, we too must let go of what we think we are to discover what we truly are. If this idea feels unsettling, it's worth considering the parable of the Zen master and the cup of tea. A scholar visited the master seeking wisdom. As the master poured tea into the scholar's cup, he kept pouring until the tea overflowed and spilled everywhere. The scholar protested, "Stop! The cup is full." The master replied, "Exactly. You are like this cup. How can I show you the truth until you first empty yourself of what you think you know?" The scientist believed that life's purpose is to empty the cup, to let go of the illusions that keep us tethered to a false sense of reality. He often pointed to the phenomenon of déjà vu, those fleeting moments when we feel we've lived something before. While some dismissed déjà vu as a brain glitch, he saw it as a crack in the illusion, a glimpse of the timeless realm beyond. This ties into the Hermetic principle of as above, so below. If life is a reflection of something greater, then everything we experience here is a clue. The cycles of nature, the rhythms of our breath, the pulse of the stars, all are mirrors of a higher truth. The scientist's work suggested that death too is a mirror. Just as a wave returns to the ocean, we return to the source. The wave never truly disappears, it simply changes form. But why then do we resist this truth so fiercely? Perhaps it's because we equate death with loss, the loss of our loved ones, our dreams, our identity. Yet spiritual traditions across the world tell us that true loss is an illusion. The Bhagavad Gita, one of India's most revered texts, puts it beautifully. That which is real can never be destroyed, and that which is unreal never truly existed. This perspective changes everything. If death is not destruction but transformation, then what are we so afraid of? The scientist argued that our fear stems from a fundamental misunderstanding. We see ourselves as separate, finite beings. But if we are already dead, in the sense of being part of an eternal cycle, then separation is the true illusion. This idea might sound comforting, but it also challenges us in profound ways. It asks us to look at the world differently, to see the interconnectedness in everything, the tree outside your window, the stranger you pass on the street, the stars scattered across the night sky. All are part of the same dance, the same dream, the same eternal reality. If this is true, then what does it mean for how we live? How do we navigate a world that feels so real, even as we suspect it might not be? The scientist didn't offer easy answers. Instead, he invited us to explore the question for ourselves, to sit with the discomfort of not knowing, to embrace the mystery rather than fear it. Because in the end, it's not about proving whether we're dead or alive. It's about waking up to the beauty, the impermanence, the interconnectedness of it all. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real point. Not to escape the illusion, but to experience it fully, knowing it's only one part of a much greater story. The soldier who defied death. The soldier who defied death, the hiker who fell but lived, or even your own close brushes with harm. Such events defy the conventional narrative of death as an absolute end. These stories force us to question our understanding of mortality. What does it mean if quantum immortality is real? If true, this concept challenges our perception of life, death, and the choices we make, suggesting a universe far more interconnected and layered than we've ever imagined. In a multiverse teeming with infinite possibilities, survival may not be a matter of chance, but a fundamental quality of consciousness itself. The implications aren't just theoretical, they demand we reconsider how we live. Let's delve deeper into the nature of consciousness and its pivotal role in this extraordinary journey. The nature of consciousness. If quantum immortality suggests that your consciousness aligns with survivable realities, it raises a profound question. What is consciousness? Is it merely the byproduct of neural activity in the brain, or is it something greater? Something that transcends physical limits and binds us to the fabric of the multiverse itself? Most of us experience consciousness as a given, the lens through which we navigate reality, yet we rarely pause to examine its true nature. Scientists, philosophers, and spiritual traditions have debated its essence for centuries without reaching a definitive consensus. What quantum immortality introduces is the notion that consciousness might be the cornerstone of existence itself. Traditional neuroscience asserts that consciousness arises from the brain's activity, ceasing when the brain no longer functions due to trauma, disease, or death. But if this were true, quantum immortality would be impossible. Instead, the concept implies that consciousness operates beyond the confines of the physical body, a force capable of surviving even the end of biological function. This notion isn't entirely new. Many spiritual traditions have long described consciousness as something independent of the physical form. Hindu and Buddhist philosophies, for instance, speak of the self as a transient entity within an eternal cycle of rebirth. Indigenous cultures often perceive consciousness as interwoven with the universe itself. From these perspectives, death is not an end, but a transformation, a shift in being. Consciousness and the multiverse. In the context of the multiverse, if consciousness moves to another reality when one timeline ends, it may act as an observer, a force that perceives and navigates reality without being bound by it. This aligns intriguingly with the principles of quantum mechanics, where observation plays a critical role in shaping outcomes. For example, in the double-slit experiment, particles exist in all possible states until observed, at which point they adopt a definitive path. What if consciousness is the ultimate observer, the mechanism that determines which reality is experienced? This perspective suggests that your consciousness isn't tied to a singular existence. Instead, it might be the thread connecting countless versions of you across infinite realities. This idea raises profound questions. Are you a singular entity or the sum of all your possible selves? If consciousness continuously aligns with survivable timelines, then does a version of you exist in every conceivable reality? The role of choice and intention. Here's where things get even more fascinating and unsettling. If your consciousness is navigating the multiverse, is this process deliberate or passive? Are you simply a passenger, or do your choices actively determine the paths you follow? Some physicists and philosophers propose that intention, focus, and belief may influence the realities we experience. In this view, your thoughts and decisions don't just affect your current timeline, they ripple across the multiverse, shaping the very fabric of existence. But what happens to the versions of you left behind? When your consciousness shifts to a timeline where survival is possible, do the other versions continue without you, or do they cease to exist? This question challenges the core of selfhood. If consciousness connects multiple realities, then perhaps there is no singular you, but rather an endless array of perspectives tied together by a shared awareness. Death reimagined. Quantum immortality also forces us to reconsider the nature of death. If consciousness never truly experiences its own end, then what is death? Is it merely the point at which one version of you ceases to exist in a particular timeline, or is it a seamless transition, a crossing into another thread of reality? In this light, death is no longer a definitive end, but a boundary that consciousness crosses without interruption. This redefinition carries emotional and philosophical implications. If death is not the end, does life lose its urgency, or does it gain new meaning, knowing every moment contributes to an infinite journey across the multiverse? Quantum immortality suggests that consciousness is both infinite and deeply interconnected with the structure of reality. Yet this realization places the responsibility on you. If intention and choice truly shape your path, then how you live, what you believe, what you focus on, may ripple across dimensions, influencing not just your reality, but all the possible versions of you. It's a humbling and empowering idea. Your existence, far from being a solitary experience, might be an integral part of something far greater than you've ever imagined. The idea of consciousness transcending physical reality isn't just a modern scientific thought experiment. It has been deeply explored by mystics and spiritual teachers throughout history. One such figure is Kabir, a 15th century Indian poet and saint, whose teachings bridge the boundaries between Hinduism and Islam. Kabir's words often revolved around the interconnectedness of all things and the eternal nature of the self, concepts that resonate profoundly with the implications of quantum immortality. Kabir taught that the essence of life and consciousness isn't confined to the body, but is part of a greater eternal truth that exists everywhere and within everyone. He often used simple, everyday language to convey complex spiritual truths, emphasizing that the divine, or what we might now relate to the fabric of reality itself, is not something separate or far away, but deeply woven into the ordinary. One of his most well-known couplets reads, "Between the conscious and the unconscious, the mind has put up a swing. All earth creatures, even the supernovas, sway between these two trees, and it never winds down." This swing could be seen as a metaphor for the shifting of consciousness across different realities, much like the idea of navigating through the multiverse. Kabir believed that the self is both a traveler and a witness, moving between states of awareness, yet rooted in something eternal and infinite. In his writings, Kabir also spoke of the unknowable home, a place that many interpret as the ultimate state of consciousness. For Kabir, this home wasn't a physical location, but rather an experience of unity, a realization that the self is connected to all that exists. This aligns with the idea that consciousness itself could be the binding thread of the multiverse, tying together countless timelines and possibilities. Kabir's teachings also emphasize the importance of intention and awareness, echoing modern philosophical interpretations of how we might influence the realities we inhabit. He urged people to live with mindfulness and authenticity, suggesting that what we focus on shapes our experience. In one poem he says, "The river that flows in you also flows in me." This profound statement points to a shared essence, a universal stream of consciousness that runs through all beings. Could this river be what modern thinkers refer to as the field of infinite possibilities, the quantum field that connects all versions of existence? Kabir's poetry invites us to see ourselves not as isolated entities, but as participants in a larger, interconnected reality. Another aspect of Kabir's teachings worth considering is his view on fear and attachment. He often encouraged people to embrace life's mysteries rather than cling to certainty or fear the unknown. If quantum immortality teaches us anything, it's that fear of death or any kind of end may be misplaced. Kabir expressed this beautifully when he wrote, "O seeker, where do you search? The truth is here and now. You are already what you seek." This could be interpreted as a reminder that the consciousness guiding us through realities is not bound by endings. It exists in the eternal now, experiencing the unfolding of life in infinite forms. By reflecting on Kabir's words, we might begin to see quantum immortality not as a cold scientific theory, but as an idea infused with meaning and purpose. If our consciousness truly continues to navigate realities, then every thought, every choice, and every moment becomes an opportunity to align with the deeper truth of who we are. So, what does this mean for how we live? Kabir's teachings suggest that if we see ourselves as part of something eternal and interconnected, we might approach life with more courage, curiosity, and compassion. Perhaps the greatest lesson is to live fully, to embrace the infinite possibilities within us, and to trust that our consciousness knows the way home, whether that home is in this timeline or another. This perspective doesn't take away the importance of the present moment. Instead, it magnifies it. Every action and intention becomes a ripple in the vast ocean of existence. And just as Kabir reminded us to find the divine in the ordinary, we might also remember that the extraordinary, our journey through realities, is unfolding right here, right now. The freedom of quantum immortality. On one hand, the theory of quantum immortality provides a sense of liberation. If death is an illusion, then the limitations we impose on ourselves might lose their grip. Would you live more boldly, take greater risks, or pursue your passions with fewer reservations if you knew you couldn't fail in the ultimate sense? While the fear of failure might linger, the profound existential terror of annihilation could fade, potentially unlocking a freer, more expansive way of living, unburdened by the looming finality of mortality. However, this perspective introduces unsettling ethical dilemmas. If consciousness is guaranteed to persist, could this lead to recklessness or apathy regarding the consequences of our actions? If one version of you always survives, what weight do your decisions hold in other timelines? This is not merely a theoretical question, but a moral one. While you may continue to exist, others' consciousnesses might follow different rules, or at least not align in ways you can perceive. The detachment such knowledge might foster poses challenges to empathy and collective accountability. Moreover, quantum immortality disrupts traditional notions of legacy. Many find purpose in the idea of leaving something behind, whether a piece of art, a family, or societal contributions, that outlasts their mortal existence. If death is an illusion, what becomes of this drive to leave a lasting impact? Does the meaning of life shift from permanence to the immediacy of experience, emphasizing living in the moment rather than striving for enduring influence? Philosophers have long debated these ideas. Existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre argue that life holds no inherent meaning, leaving it up to us to create our purpose. Quantum immortality echoes this sentiment. It suggests that the significance of life is not in its finality, but in how we choose to navigate infinite possibilities. Every decision, every moment becomes an act of creation, shaping the reality we inhabit. Yet this theory also challenges our relationship with morality. Many ethical frameworks are rooted in the idea of finitude. Our time is limited, and our actions carry weight because of it. Religions often tie morality to the afterlife, with promises of reward or punishment based on our earthly behavior. If consciousness continues indefinitely, morality might shift from cosmic judgment to alignment, choosing actions that lead to the realities we wish to experience. This reframes morality as a deeply personal responsibility, focused on creating the kind of existence we want to inhabit. Detachment, however, remains a looming concern. If death isn't real, does life lose its urgency? If every decision guarantees survival in some form, do the stakes feel lower? Fiction often portrays immortality as leading to despair or disconnection, but quantum immortality adds nuance. You're not truly immortal, you simply persist in some version of reality. Each timeline is unique and fleeting. Once you leave one behind, you can never return, making life simultaneously infinite and finite. This paradox offers profound insights. Life holds urgency, not because it ends, but because every version of you experiences its own singular journey. The relationships you build, the experiences you embrace, and the choices you make carry immense weight, specific to the timeline you inhabit. Each moment becomes precious, not as a means to escape death, but as an opportunity to fully inhabit your current reality. If quantum immortality is true, it challenges us to shed our fears, embrace infinite possibilities, and take responsibility for the realities we shape. It reframes existence, not as an endless attempt to evade death, but as a chance to live intentionally, cherishing each singular thread of life within the infinite web of possibilities. In the vast tapestry of human beliefs, African spiritual traditions offer some of the most profound and lesser-known insights into life, death, and the interconnectedness of all things. One such belief comes from the Dagara people of Burkina Faso in West Africa. For the Dagara, death is not seen as an end, but as a form of transformation, a continuation of life in another realm. This perspective aligns intriguingly with the concept of quantum immortality, offering a unique cultural lens to explore our understanding of existence. The Dagara believe in a cyclical relationship between the living and the ancestors. They view life as a temporary phase of a much larger journey, one that doesn't end with the physical body. When a person dies, their spirit is believed to return to the ancestral realm, a place where they can guide and protect their descendants. Ancestors are not just memories, they are active participants in the lives of the living, offering wisdom and support from a realm beyond. What makes this belief particularly fascinating is its focus on connection rather than separation. In the Dagara worldview, the boundaries between life and death are fluid. The dead are not gone, they are simply in another state of being. This resonates deeply with the idea that consciousness continues, perhaps in another version of reality or timeline, as suggested by quantum immortality. It's a reminder that what we perceive as an end might only be a shift in perspective. In Dagara tradition, rituals play a vital role in maintaining the bond between the living and the ancestors. These rituals are not performed out of fear of death, but out of love and respect for the continuation of life in its many forms. For example, when someone passes away, the family holds a funeral ceremony that is both a farewell and a celebration. During this time, offerings are made, songs are sung, and stories are told to honor the deceased's life. It is believed that these actions help guide the spirit to its new home in the ancestral realm. The belief also has practical implications for how the Dagara live their lives. Knowing that they will one day become ancestors themselves, individuals are encouraged to live in ways that uphold their community and environment. Their actions carry weight because they understand they are creating a legacy, not only for those who come after them, but for themselves in their future roles as ancestral guides. This interconnected view of life and death offers a profound lesson. Our existence is not isolated. Our actions ripple through time, affecting not only our immediate world, but also the unseen realms of ancestors and the future generations that will follow us. This belief encourages living with purpose, mindfulness, and an awareness of the broader web of life. When we consider the parallels between the Dagara's cyclical view of life and death and the theory of quantum immortality, it opens the door to a broader understanding of existence. The idea that consciousness continues, whether in the ancestral realm or in alternate timelines, challenges us to rethink our fear of death. Instead of seeing it as the ultimate unknown, we might begin to view it as a transition, a movement into another state of being where we remain connected to the vast, infinite network of life. By embracing these ideas, we might discover a deeper sense of responsibility, not only to ourselves but to others, to our environment, and to the unseen forces that shape our existence. Death, then, is not a loss, but a transformation, a reminder that life in all its forms is a continuous and infinite journey. Just as the Dagara people see life and death as part of an infinite cycle, many Eastern philosophies share a similar perspective. One of the most intriguing beliefs comes from Tibetan Buddhism and its teachings on the Bardo, a concept that describes the transitional states between death and rebirth. The Bardo is not just a space between lives, it's a journey, an opportunity for spiritual growth and a reflection of one's consciousness. In Tibetan thought, life is a series of continuous transitions. The Bardo represents the liminal space, a period of change where the spirit undergoes profound transformations. When someone dies, they are believed to enter the Bardo Todol, often translated as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. This sacred text serves as a guide for navigating the Bardo, offering insight into the visions, challenges, and decisions the soul may face as it prepares for its next phase of existence. What makes this belief so profound is its emphasis on awareness and choice. During the Bardo, the soul encounters various experiences, some terrifying and others blissful, which are reflections of its own mind. These experiences are not random. They are shaped by the thoughts, actions, and intentions cultivated during life. This aligns with the idea that our consciousness creates and influences the reality we inhabit, even beyond death. The teachings of the Bardo also stress that death is not to be feared, but understood. Tibetan Buddhists believe that the clarity and calmness of one's mind at the moment of death can greatly influence the soul's journey. Those who have spent their lives practicing mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom may find the Bardo to be an opportunity for liberation, breaking free from the cycle of birth and death, known as samsara. For others, the Bardo becomes a mirror of unresolved fears and attachments, which can lead to rebirth in a reality that reflects those struggles. The parallels with quantum immortality are striking. If our consciousness continues after physical death, shaped by the timelines and realities we align with, then the Bardo serves as a metaphor for this transition. It suggests that the choices we make in life ripple beyond our current experience, influencing not only the here and now, but the next stages of our existence. This perspective also offers practical wisdom for how to live. If life and death are connected by the same threads of awareness and intention, then every moment becomes an opportunity to create the reality we desire. Tibetan teachings often encourage daily mindfulness practices such as meditation to help cultivate a calm and clear mind. This isn't just preparation for death, it's a way to live more fully, free from the distractions and fears that cloud our understanding of who we truly are. Another key teaching from Tibetan Buddhism is the importance of compassion. The belief that all beings are interconnected underpins the idea that our actions toward others directly impact our own journey. By choosing kindness, we not only create a better world for those around us, but also align ourselves with realities that are more peaceful and harmonious. Ultimately, the teachings of the Bardo remind us that life is a fluid, ever-changing experience. It's not confined to a single timeline or physical body. Just as the Dagara viewed death as a transformation, Tibetan Buddhism sees it as a doorway to deeper understanding. These beliefs challenge us to reconsider the boundaries we place on existence, encouraging us to embrace the unknown with courage, compassion, and clarity. Whether viewed through the lens of African spirituality or Tibetan philosophy, the idea that life and death are interconnected reveals a profound truth. The choices we make matter. Every thought, word, and action shapes not only our current experience, but the infinite paths that lie ahead. By embracing this understanding, we can live with greater intention, unburdened by fear, and open to the endless possibilities of existence. The question of life and death has no single answer, but it challenges us to look beyond the surface-level goals society often imposes on us. Wealth, status, and material success lose their allure when seen through the lens of an infinite existence. These pursuits are tied to a limited view of life, whereas true meaning becomes something deeper, found in the connections we nurture, the creativity we express, and the ways we contribute to the collective reality we share. This shift in perspective isn't just about personal transformation, it opens the door to a broader collective awakening. Imagine a world where societies recognize death as an illusion, a mere transition rather than an ending. How would that transform the way we approach conflict, inequality, or justice? Would we be more willing to take risks for the greater good, knowing that our actions ripple across infinite realities? Would we prioritize collaboration over competition, connection over isolation, and growth over fear? Breaking free from the illusion of death isn't about denying its practical reality, but seeing it for what it truly is: a shift, a continuation, a boundary that consciousness transcends. Embracing this truth frees us from the limitations that fear imposes and allows us to live with greater purpose and possibility, moving beyond mere survival. But recognizing the infinite nature of life is just the beginning. Once you understand that existence is boundless, the real question becomes, what will you do with this knowledge? How will you navigate the multiverse to create a reality that reflects your deepest values and desires? This understanding empowers us to craft a life rooted in meaning, creativity, and connection. When entire societies embrace this perspective, the potential for transformation is limitless. By letting go of fear and embracing the infinite, we can collectively build a world that prioritizes compassion, imagination, and unity. a world where the illusion of boundaries no longer holds us back, and infinite possibility becomes the foundation of our shared reality. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.